Photography, they say, can bore into a person's psyche, and a great photograph can tell you about the person, the personality of the person. Well, Astad revealed himself to the world through his photographs, an amazing array of photographs. And a few photographers were his favorites. And we want to now meet Ritam Banerjee, who's traveled with him to the most fabulous locations. And I'm going to invite him now, Ritam Banerjee, to talk about the experience of capturing the enigma that was Astad Debu through that tiny aperture of the lens. Good morning, Ritam.
Very good morning.
Very good morning. Okay, we met last in Chicago when
Yes.
you were there with Astad and Hema Rajagopalan for the Bharatnatyam contempt dance puppetry kind of collaboration called INE.
Right.
But I was also part of Astad's WhatsApp group where he would just send us so many photographs. Of course, you were definitely among the top two. There was you, there was Nilesh. But before that, he started with Shantanu, right? Shantanu Shore and the early Mehboob studios. But tell me about when you first saw Astad, and did you go to ask, did you tell him that I want to photograph you, or did he approach you?
My journey with Astad goes back a long way. I mean, I was 5 years old when I saw Astad perform for the first time. It was at the XLRI auditorium in Jamshedpur.
Okay.
And I have hardly any recollection of that event, but I was so apparently influenced and inspired by whatever I saw. I went back and went home and I dressed up like him and made my mother put me on in a dhoti and stuff like that, and I posed in front of the mirror in front of our dressing table. And there are some pictures which my father took of me then. So that's how I have certain memories from there. So ever since I was fond of him because he was one of my super seniors from school. We went to the same school. We were in Loyola school together. I mean, like, obviously he was much more senior. So, his nephew, Zaksis Antia, he and I were classmates in school.
Okay.
So, Astad was too big for me to even consider going to him, photographing him, collaborating with him. He was out of the world and he was beyond my reach at that point of time. I couldn't even imagine that one day I would be able to even get close to him, leave alone shooting him. But it so happened that when I was in college and I started taking photography seriously, I realized that yeah, super fond of him. So yeah, and he was super fond of me. So yeah, sorry for this.
No, it's all right. It's fine. Yeah.
So I mean, when I was in college, I started looking at other photographers and I saw some pictures of Astad shot by Farooq Chotia.
Yes.
And
Farooq Chotia.
so black and white pictures with the Manipuri dancers and his pictures with Madhu Sapre, his pictures with Samira Reddy and stuff like that. So, I mean, when I saw those pictures, I was blown. I mean, I just prayed that someday I get an opportunity to take some pictures like those with him. And it so happened that I went to one of his performances at NCPA, and that's when I dared to just like approach him and ask him that can we do something together? And Astad being Astad, he was super delighted, you know, to say yes without even knowing how good or bad or even I mean, I was worthy of him to even like, you know, he was Astad. I mean, he had a heart which was bigger than I have ever seen or I can ever imagine on this planet. So he embraced me and he said, let's do something. And then one day he called me up and he said, whenever you're ready. So there was a small studio, which is where I started my photography in Bombay, which was like right next to his house. So there are multiple coincidences in our lives, and so we started shooting in that studio, which was like literally five like steps away from his house. Uh, so and then we traveled across and did multiple things. We did 2 calendars together. We did, and I can't even count how many exhibitions together. He created shows around my pictures, so my pictures was projected on him, and he danced around them and did performances with it at the water festival in Delhi, in Ahmedabad, in Bombay, and several other places. So, and last year, all of a sudden, he told me, "Do you know how many countries and cities we have been to?" I said, "What happened all of a sudden? What makes you remember all that?" So he said, "Facebook told me today that we have been to more than 20 cities together." I said, "Okay, that is news to me, because I never counted. And there were several countries which he and I quietly went, nobody even got to know, that I was there with him, from South Korea to South America to USA to Europe. We have traveled, and even across India, from Jodhpur to you name it. We have been, and we have done weird stuff. He used to climb on the walls of the fort and do weird forms of dance, and he just created magic, and I was just lucky to be a witness to it. And he basically held my hand and showed me how to dream and live the dream. He was a dream personified. He used to live his dreams, and he was honest. Whenever I used to ask him that, don't you get bothered by all these people who hassle you around? How do you keep yourself excited, charged, and remember every single? Because he used to keep on telling me so many stories about his journey, and I used to say, how do you keep yourself excited? I get tired now. Looking, at this age, when I'm not even half your age, and when people behave the way they do with you, and how do you handle it? He says that, and don't you feel like giving up? And like, you have done enough. You have nothing to prove, right? So what more? Like 70 countries across the world, multiple times over. What more can one, dream of? And so he used to always say, I have to be honest to myself, and if only I am honest to myself, I can be honest to the world. And dance is the only thing that God has given me, and I have to be honest to it, right? And that is the only way I can give it forward. And he used to quietly do so much for so many people, which most of the people won't even be aware of. Even when he was in the last year, when COVID hit, and he was taking care, which I got to know incidentally, that he was taking care of 40 families, which very few people know about. All these Salam Balak Trust kids, and their families, and several others, Manipuri kids who were, there were so many people he collaborated with, and he was helping them out financially during these tough times, which he never mentioned, never spoke about. And he even used to force me and fight with me, and I am going to give you money. You have not been shooting for a while. I know your money will get over. So I said, he used to fight with me and stuff like that we used to do. I was just blessed to, be, I don't know. I don't know. I've spoken too much.
So Ritam, would you say that he has made you a better artist, a better photographer?
Human being. Human being.
Okay.
That is the most important thing. Most people don't get to see. People see artists as from a distance. They are in the audience, and the artist is on the stage, or so the human, most of us do not see, and we idealize them. We make them demigods, and so we automatically create an impression of them, not even trying to reach out to their real self. I was so fortunate to, like, when I went to South Korea or even Chicago. I was in New York, and I flew down to Chicago from there, and then I was like, in Chicago, I had this dream of creating something with Anish Kapoor's
Bean. The
Bean
Bean.
and Astad. I mean that was something I have been thinking as a Chicago. Matlab Astad and Anish Kapoor and the Millennium Park and some magic will happen. I mean I don't need to do anything. It was snowing that day. I mean or it was freezing cold, you know, and he got up in the morning. He said, "You wanted to shoot, right?" I said, "Yeah, but it's freezing cold, and if we go there, I mean, it will be difficult for you to dance, right?" He said, "Are we meeting for the first time? Don't you know me?" So he gave a piece of his mind and gave me a hug and said, chal, let's go." And he used to speak in Bangla with me because he knew I think 17 languages, some like ridiculous number of languages he knew. So, and because he had a connection with Jamshedpur and his neighbors were Bengalis when he was growing up. So his fondness for Bangla, and whenever my parents used to visit me, he used to tell my mom to cook certain Bengali food for him because he was so fond of Bengali food. So I mean, there were several such memories are there. So when we went to the Bean, he just took off his shoes and started dancing, and it was freezing cold. I mean, with my shoes, with 3 layers of jackets, I could not move. Move because I was so frozen, and he didn't bother. And that was last year. You were there. I mean, in Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, around the same
Yes.
time.
Yes.
Not last year, 2019. Yeah, I mean
Yes.
October, November.
November.
Yeah.
Yes.
November. Yeah. So I mean, that was him. I mean, what more can I say? I mean, that's it. I mean,
You know,
yeah.
when the photographs of Astad I've seen that you've taken,
Yeah.
you know, some lake in Sweden, Anish Kapoor's Bean, you know, wall. And there was always him with those long flowing robes, right? Those angarkha kind of things.
Yeah.
And each photograph, the, the costume danced, you know, the costume was able to dance. But did you ever take him quiet, you know, like pensive, quiet, reflective, when he was not performing for the camera? You know, not the pictures he released to friends were fine, but did you ever catch him off guard? You know, just
Billion and 3 times.
quietly.
I mean, I don't even know how many hard disks of pictures I have of him. I mean, I have shot him in, I mean, I had access to everything of his. So you used to never stop me from shooting him in any form, I mean, a lot of things are, I have shot him where I have just seen him prepared for his performance. I mean, and with his Salam Balakis like Shamshul and several others who were very, very dear to him, all of them, like, you know, with them, his approach was different. And when he was alone, his approach was different. And I have seen both sides of him. And he used to go into a state of meditation before his performance. And he used to not eat on the day of his performance. That was one of, I mean, there were several such things that he did, which I was very fortunate to witness from very close quarters, and I have documented those moments. A lot of times, even in my mobile phones, and we had done stupid stuff. Like in Colombia, when we were there was the Festival of the Dead happening that time, and there were all these people masquerading on the streets, and it was a blast, you know. And I mean, he became a child, he became a kid, and he started dancing, playing, hugging random people like I was doing, he was doing, and we were all one and the same, you know. And several such things he and I used to do, which most people won't even ever get to know, only because he was mad and so was I. So we had no inhibitions of exploring things beyond the convention. So what I used to think was never was impossible, he used to make it always possible in front of my eyes, and that extended my faith in expanding my imagination, and which helped me grow as a person and as an artist in a much more bigger way than I could have ever imagined. So I do not know. I mean, I can't thank him enough, and he will always be living in the deepest recesses of my heart forever. I mean, and he still is. I mean, so happy birthday, love you. So that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at your Instagram page and the ritambanerjee.com, and the only dance photographs are of Astad.
Yes,
The only
yes,
dance are of
yes,
Astad. Do
yes.
you ever think that you would be able to photograph another dancer? Do you think that you would ever be able to?
See, I believe photography or any form of art is a very symbiotic association between the artist, the environment, the collaborators. It's very symbiotic. And for that to happen, somebody has to be super flexible and open. Like, for example, when I started shooting him, I had no clue about dance. Even though my sister was into dance and I had seen several performances from Malika's. I mean, my parents were very fond of art and culture, so we had access to several performances and shows and concerts and several other things I had been to or I had seen online. Not online, like on TV and stuff like that. Those days, that was only oh wait, we could see stuff. But you know, so when I started shooting with Astad, I used to fight with him because what I used to think like a good picture as a photographer, he used to tell me that no, this is not a good picture because from a dance perspective, this doesn't work. So he taught me the form and the grace and the designs of his art form. And very almost instantaneously within a few shoots, I mean, which we did initially, or maybe first, second shoot. After that, he realized that he doesn't need to tell me anything. He, on the contrary, used to scold me and tell me, "You tell me what to do." I said, "I mean, what am I going to tell you what to do?"
Yeah.
so he had so much confidence and faith in me, and it just happened. Like we just went with the flow. So if somebody is so secured, I
Yeah.
mean, he was super secure deep inside. You know, no matter what the outside world knows or thinks of him, he was super secured of his own self and what he did because the experiences he has had. I mean, I do not think anybody can even imagine. From getting into a ship with goats and cattle to being with the Queen of England. I mean, how many people can even think of
Yeah.
having such a life, you know?
Yeah. I
So
know.
that is Astad. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, I have the closest ringside, one of the closest ringside views of that that life, you know, and in a personified form. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Ritam. It's been a beautiful conversation. And yeah,
Thank
it's
you
very
for putting
moving.
this together.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. I'm finding out a little bit with every person I'm speaking to. Thank
Right.
you so much.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye
Bye.
bye.